To one and all, especially the dignitaries on the dais and off the dais. At the outset, let me thank the organizers for taking risk in organizing such a kind of wonderful national level program. In these days, as Professor Premi sir was speaking, the translation is a very important area where everybody should consider. It's an important thing that everybody should mind. Well, when during the keynote address, when the representing the organization team, Professor Dr. Jaishankar sir was speaking, and he was inspiring all of you people. He has translated his ideas or his goals into the success story. When he spoke a lot of things, I felt very much encouraged or inspired that in translation also such kind of motivation he is giving. In that respect, I congratulate the institution for taking this kind of initiation. Thank you very much, the organizers. I remember Robert Frost when he said the word, poetry is what gets lost when in translation. Maybe when I take this word seriously, it means that it's very difficult to translate. Most of the Robert Frost poems, it's very difficult to understand. Let me see the poem, The Road Not Taken. Maybe some other poems are there. The words, when spoken in the literal sense, doesn't really give the meaning what we expect in the poetry. As Prabhu Shankar sir was speaking that, we have to understand the two languages properly when we have to take up the venture of translating. Unless we are equipped with the two languages, the target language and source language, it's very difficult. So we can't give justice to the work that we are giving out. Most of the lacunae in translation arise because of this area where we are not much equipped with the two languages. I'm sure that the language that we speak or the mother tongue, we may be very good at. When we are taking the source language, is maybe European language or maybe one of the Dravidian languages or maybe Indian language, whatever it may be, how far we are equipped with that language? So language is not a very easy thing to understand. Maybe things which are not told, which are not expressed in words, is possible to understand. It's possible to give meaning. And the plain words don't give any kind of meaning many times. Apart from the words, there is a meaning. When we study the literary discourse, we come to some examples. Let me give an example of a boy saying to a girl, I have 2 tickets for the film Kaho Naho. He said the sentence to the girl saying that I have 2 tickets for the film Kaho Naho. The other person who listened to the words, the girl said that I had 2 slippers which my father got to me. She said the word. The literal word doesn't give any meaning at all. What the boy said, what the reply she has given, entirely different. Not in the words, but it's the meaning. How far we are able to grasp that kind of meaning? Most of the times we see that the meaning is contextual. When we don't understand the context, we don't understand the text at all. Context is very much relevant to understand that text. See, there is a word, take left turn, take right turn, which are the signs written somewhere in the roads we see it. If they are not placed in a proper place, they won't give the meaning at all. If they have been wrongly placed, we get some other meaning. Likewise, we need to understand the context of the language also. In that sense, I believe that to translate, to understand the language is very, very essential. The maybe language, the translation of history, when you go to the translation history, we come to know that the Epic of Gilgamesh, from there onwards, the translation started. Throughout the world, we come to know that the historians of translation do agree the point that the Epic of Gilgamesh is to be the first translated work in the world. Maybe it's about Sumerian language. From there onwards, we see plenty of works which have been getting translated every year, every moment we can see. As Prabhu Shankar sir was telling that, in Kannada also, English Geetagulu in the year 1932, which came out by BM Sri, really did a wonderful thing. Most of the people in Kannada, inspired by this kind of BM Sri's work, and most of the poems which are written in Kannada, they don't appear to be English at all. They appear to be Kannada works. How much it is, the fragrance and the things which are taken here. But when we speak literally, most of the things in BM Sri's work do not correspond with the original text. We can come to there are many criticisms about that. There is no need to be faithful to the source language many times when it is going to test, when it's going to inspire the readers of the target language. Well, it becomes a transcreation. Transcreation has given a lot of happiness to the readers of the target language. But translation is entirely different. Translation, many agree that there should be faithful, one should be faithful to that source language. It's very difficult to be faithful to the two things at a time. We can be faithful to one. So we can say that our work is a transcreation. Either we can say that it's translation. It's very difficult. Well, Prabhu Shankar sir may be having such kind of wonderful experience in his works when he has translated from Kannada, Hindi, all these things. Certainly. Well, dear friends, there are many challenges for a translator in these days. The basic thing is that it is a language itself. Because we are in India, or maybe the world we can take into consideration, there are about 9,000 languages in the world. 9,000 languages, one cannot be expert in all the languages if you want to translate the best thing in a particular language of the world. Even in India also, there are about approximately 1,000 languages. Forget about the dialects, there are plenty of dialects in each and every language. It's very difficult in that sense. And moreover, European language, they have their own system, linguistic system, whereas Indian languages, within India we have one Arabic sect of the languages, another Dravidian sect of languages. There is a diverse, we have linguistic differences. With all these differences, it's very challenging for a translator if you want to venture into the art of writing something, giving something in another language. Well, with this, we say that what is the basic problem is that it's a structure of the language. Basic problem is the structure, basic challenge the structure to understand. We say that in English, we say that I eat pizza. It's very simple. In Kannada, we can't say like that. We say in English, I eat pizza. If it divided structure, it becomes subject, verb, object. That's a pattern. I, subject, eat, verb, and then pizza, object. In Indian languages, maybe it's entirely different. Avanu, pizza, tinnuvanu. The verb comes at the end. Tinnuvanu, it is also going to signify the gender also. In English, we don't have that kind of gender maybe matching with the verbs. Maybe for a European person, it's entirely surprising for a person where the verb is taking the gender situation. Likewise, we have the problem with the words, verbs, and in some languages, even Arabian language, it's quite similar to the Indian, Dravidian languages. The pattern is almost same, subject, verb, and object. That pattern, Indian pattern is almost same to the Arabian language also. Well, this is a problem with the structure of the language. When we say about structure, we even have some other problems. Like after structure, we come to know that the culture is another issue that we have to know. What culture we are translating, for what culture we are translating, from which culture we are taking the things. See, India almost one kind of culture we have, people say, but there is a diversity also. We see that there is a type of different kind of food style, clothing style, and even festivals. Plenty of different things are there. I was in Udupi during my precious days of service. In my Udupi, there are the people who are using multiple languages. They use Tulu, they use Konkani, and within the Tulu language, Mangalore Tulu is different from that Udupi Tulu. And in spite of that, the Tulu spoken by Brahmin is different from Tulu spoken by Shudra. Different kind of language we have. Only one language Tulu. A Brahmin says that Vanasanda, have you had your meals? Whereas the one who belongs to Shudra community says that is a different words. Vanasanda is spoken by Shudra, whereas in Brahmin, Ashanana is a word Brahmin uses. Why this difference? We don't have this kind of variety in English or any other European languages. These are Indian languages. They are totally different when compared to European languages and other languages. How far we are able to grasp this kind of thing? We see that Ammeri, they use the word for a father. Amma is the word we are familiar with saying that is mother. Where in Tulu we have the word used Ammer for the word father. Apper is the word they use. Apper means father, that generally the sound tells. But in Tulu it is not. Apper means mother. It's totally different. This system is totally different. How to understand? We have false friends in English language, similar sounding words. Sound is different, same, but meaning is different. Likewise, the English language is one which is to be arbitrary. Sound does not correspond with the meaning. It's entirely different. It's maybe birds are lucky. A bird in a cuckoo in India, kuhu kuhu says everywhere, and even it goes to London. But not same. A cat in Chikbalapur says meow meow, even it goes to Delhi or anywhere in Chicago, anywhere. Human being is the one who is a great sufferer. He cannot communicate because of the variety or diversity of the language. The basic problem is arbitrariness. Sound does not communicate the meaning. Likewise, we see that this is a cultural problem. Culture involves various concepts, of course. We see the poem in Shakespeare uses the word, shall I compare you to a summer's day? Uses the word. Summer is the culture that is there in England. That culture is different. This culture is different. He compares the poet, compares a friend to the summer's day. Maybe his comparison is not to the summer in Chikbalapur and maybe Bangalore, what we are experiencing. In England, summer is entirely different from this culture, this kind of culture, that culture. Summer is the rarest thing they experience. That's like similar to the spring that we experience here. Throughout the year, they experience a cold climate, a kind of entirely different climate they experience. Summer is a period they experience sunshine, enjoyable climate. In that mood, he is saying that, shall I compare my friend to a summer's day? That's what it tells. Here in Chikbalapur, Bangalore, you say, ನಾನು ಬೇಸ್ಲಿ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಲ ಮಗನೇ ಅಂದರೆ, what it tells? He is going to perspire us. It is not perspiring. It is just comparing to the great thing that is. So culture is the one that plays such a kind of role. Culture means there the geographical culture, there the maybe various things are there, of course. Culture involves even the food habits, does everything that involves, of course, culture. That's the basic concept. How far we are able to understand the culture of two languages. That's the biggest challenge. Being in maybe Bangalore or anywhere, I am not very much acquainted to the British culture. Even in British culture also, the texts I take from Shakespeare means during Shakespearean age, I don't know how other culture. Most of the words when he uses, he says that nice is the word he uses, Shakespeare uses. Nice presently, N-I-C, nice presently, is an entirely different word. During Shakespeare, nice is a word that he used to say for the rough people. You are very nice, he uses the word. But today, the modern English doesn't accept that meaning. Nice means very smooth, such kind of that meaning we get. So, when we want to know the language, we want to go to the depth of the age, how it was used, and what was the linguistic culture that was there. That is such a kind of big challenge, of course. Well, apart from the culture, I see that maybe there are some more things like when we see the words. Words are really tricky. The words are, most of the words we see. Within the words, there is so much of ambiguity. When we combine the words, there is so much of pun. How to bring that kind of ambiguity, pun in from one language to another language. Sir, there is one sentence I'll tell you in Kannada. Nanu ತಾಳಿಕೊಂಡೇನು. Simple sentence. Nanu ತಾಳಿಕೊಂಡೇನು. The word, when we say that, how do you bring it to English? There are many meanings, of course. Nanu ತಾಳಿಕೊಂಡೇನು. I purchased a tali. I am speaking to my wife for the marriage purpose. ನಾನು ತಾಳಿಕೊಂಡೇನು. That's what. what other people will feel, it says that I was maybe excused or maybe something like that. That's also another meaning we get. See, that kind of pun and maybe the ambiguity is very difficult to translate. When we take up that kind of challenge, really we are in utter failure. It's very difficult. Then what to do? Then translation becomes a kind of paraphrase. Translation becomes a simple summarization. Then people will say that, translation. Original is original. Because this is the problem he is facing. Nobody will understand this is a problem. We say that when we are speaking with our friends, we speak plenty of things. One person cracks a joke in Hindi or Telugu, whatever it may be. Another person who doesn't know the language, he tells us. It's utterly difficult to translate what is said in Telugu and bring it to his language. He does not laugh at all. He is only laughing. He tells a joke, he cracks a joke, we are enjoying because both of us know the original language, we are enjoying it. Another person doesn't enjoy. Then what is the use of telling my joke? Nothing. That kind of sapless our translation becomes. Unless we are able to understand, it's a great challenge that how far we are able to recreate the same pun or a same kind of ambiguity in the language is another biggest challenge. I am sure that's a challenge for a writer. The words, of course, these words are creating a lot of trouble also. Maybe, pun, ambiguity, that's another thing. Sometimes, in these days we have the computer-based translation systems. It's evolved. We have Google Translation, we have Microsoft Translation. Some other softwares are there. Plenty of softwares are coming to practice. And moreover, it's a rewarding also in these days. You may be knowing one app is there called Fiverr, Fiverr, Fiverr. If you are a good translator in any language, you can install that app and you can canvas yourself saying that I'm a translator of that and this. If you say that, you will get orders per page, something like $5, something like that. Maybe Indian language or European language, you will get a lot of money. Even if you don't know language, you can say that I am good at English to French. If you put that, the order will come. If you can't translate, take out the sheet and put it into the app, maybe Microsoft app, Google app, free translation app. That's another app is there. You put that thing into that app, that get it translated and send it to him. You will get money. Certainly it's happening, sir. It's happening. So quality is another issue. Well, these are the challenges or maybe opportunities the modern day has brought to us. The technical translation is another important issue. Regarding this, in Bangalore University, one Professor Hanumantappa, who is in a computer science department, a friend of mine who has been working on computer-based translation problems, natural language translation process, something that under some of the scholars he has been working on it, a computer science professor in Bangalore University. What are these problems? There are various problems in it also, where he wants to put some language, some word in the statistical language software, NSP. So many softwares have come into practice. He has been working on it. Well, there are many people, of course, who have been working presently. Maybe one day we can find a good language translator artificially. That artificial translation is different, of course. That artificial translation brings a lot of problems also. Maybe if you say that one word, there are words, if I say the words, two words becomes one word, giving one meaning. Like afternoon. After is not different, noon is not different. They should be put together and get the meaning. If you put those words into the computer translation, that gives another meaning. After or noon. If you give the space and not spacing, likewise all these differences. So computer will not able to understand most of the things the language has. Because we have in a poem, Vachyartha, Vengyartha, it's very difficult to understand the explicit meaning of the poem or implicit meaning of the poem. It's not possible. Of course, the computer-aided translation is facing a severe problem with respect to understanding these kind of Vachyartha, Vengyartha, whatever is there in the poem is very difficult. And moreover, it's maybe the language, when you speak of language, there are various words. Multiple words have been combined together, give the single meaning. And even phrases are put together, how we are able to bring that we have Samvadi Pada in Kannada. Samvadi is a similar phrase can be used there. There are various words, like in English also there are various phrases. To replace that word, we have Herculean task in English. Herculean was a great person who did something great in the Greek. We have to replace that word to make it understandable to our regional people, means we can put the word Bhagirata Prayatna. A Samvadi called we can Kannada, we call it such kind of words. There are various words, of course. We have to enrich ourselves with such kind of phrases. Maybe what we have the alternative words we can use in our own culture to replace that kind of source language. So when we bring it from Kannada to English, same thing happens. We must be equipped ourselves with the European or maybe to which country we are writing our English poetry or language is. That should be taken care. Another biggest problem is that if you take source language is English, from which country it is taken? Another issue. If you are taking the English from the American country, there the language is different. If you take English from Europe, the works of England, English works of England, that is a different. English language differs from country to country, that's another issue. The words, phrases, sentences, entirely different. Maybe that part I not tell you. Likewise, within the words and structures and sentences, there's a difference from language to language. And most of the times, we are missing. In sentence, sometimes we don't use the word at all. When in between, without using words, we have to communicate the things. How can we bring that silence in the target language? Silent words, maybe not silent words, silence of the meaning in writing is brought out by the writer. Such kind of things are there. How to bring that kind of thing is another challenge we can face. And we see that verbs, we see that so many multiple words, phrases are used. Let me give you some examples about Kannada language where we are saying that avanu oota madidanu. Very simple sentence it is. Avanu oota madidanu. The word madu has various words in English. He had breakfast, he had lunch, he had supper. Had is the word that says madidanu. For that word we had. We can't have, he made meals, we can't use that word. Maybe in English, a simple word can have meaning of multiple possibilities. Single word can replace two verbs used in Kannada. Uta madidanu can be just had. He had meals. Uta madidanu. Dined, single word you can use. Likewise, there is a possibility of using the economy of words can be thought about. The economy of words increases the beauty of the language that we use. Sometimes, maybe being ravish, maybe using so many words, extravagant can also increase our capability also. But that could also be taken care when we are thinking about translation. Sometimes the irony, sarcasm, these things are also used in the language. It's very difficult to bring out the irony and sarcasm from one source language to another language. Such situations, it's very difficult when you think about R.K. Narayan's works. In R.K. Narayan's works, some of the irony is written in English language, in his novels. It's very difficult to understand and bring the same thing to our native readers. So that's why I say that that's also the issue. And even there are about technical translations. These technical translations cannot bring all the possibilities. Only human being has to involve in it. Human mind has to involve in the writing. Prabhu Shankar sir was telling repeatedly that a translator gets good reputation if he keeps his heart at the work. One should involve in itself. If he involve, it becomes maybe he gives a lot of examples of Kannada literature where the real Ramayana, Valmiki is forgotten, whereas Kuvempu and those people we appreciate. Because so much of creativity is there. we can't say that it's a copying of the old text. We can't say that it's just a translation of the old text. Old text is forgotten if we give so much of nativity in the target language. Well, as all the resource persons are speaking, saying that we need to care much about the translation world. This translation is a requirement of the day. And certainly, if we see that most of the students in colleges, I come from the rural background college, where my students are from very remote area, they find utterly difficult when they don't find the text which is suitable to answer the relevant questions asked in the competitive exams and maybe present undergraduate or postgraduate exams. The problem is that there are textbooks which are written only in the English language, which are not brought to the local language, which we can't find the syllabus, up-to-date syllabus in the local languages. So, we're all teachers, of course, most of us. We can help our students in many subjects, of course. There are teachers from the science faculty here, there are teachers from commerce faculty here, and even BCom also. There are very few books which can help our students in Kannada language. Likewise, we can serve our people by translating the things, textbooks, to our students. Maybe literature is one important area. Apart from literature, I appeal to all of you people to maybe spread our eyes towards this area also, where our young generation can be focused. We see in the competitive exams, like in KPSC exams, I went few times as a value where I find a question on translation, 30 marks from Kannada to English, English to Kannada. When you find the translation, most of the students cannot complete that question very easily. Maybe in academic circle also, there's a need of implementing that in the curriculum or a part of syllabus. During my postgraduate studies in the 1990s in Bangalore University, there was a paper called Translation. Now that is not probably it's available in the UG and PG courses. In Bangalore University, the old syllabus of English syllabus, there was one area of 5 marks, but that's optional whether a student attempt or not translation. I see some question papers of Pune University where the students are asked to compulsorily translate from Marathi to English or English to Marathi. That was an important task. Likewise, we have plenty of things. Maybe I thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity. Most of things we can discuss later in the panel discussion also. Thank you once again for your patiently listening. Thank you very much. Thank you.